Okay kids, welcome to another cooking lesson. Today we're going to make lasagna. Okay, to make lasagna you need of course pasta and bolognese sauce, cheese and a few other bits and pieces, but most importantly for a proper authentic lasagna you need a bechamel sauce, which is a white sauce which is made with butter, flour and milk. Flour, milk, of course I also put a little bit of nutmeg. Find out what nutmeg is, and a couple of bay leaves for flavor. Okay, so to begin with, this is quite a simple process, but a lot of people bugger it up and they get lumps and it doesn't taste any good. White sauce has to be cooked through. Of course, don't panic, because when you bake the lasagna you're kind of cooking the bechamel sauce a second time, so you've got a measure of protection there, but it's always best to do it properly from the start. It's a very simple process. Let me put this over here for the moment because we don't need it. I've got probably, I don't know, 200 grams of butter. Look, don't be obsessed about quantities. Doing is what teaches you how to do it right. So this is one of those things you can always add, in this case a little bit more flour or a little bit more milk. I do like the butter. Okay, so to raise the heat and make sure that this butter is well melted and sizzling. So the butter is now sizzling, you can hear it. Flour all at once. Here is about, let's see, 3/4 of a cup. We want the butter to absorb the flour. We don't want something that's too runny like this, so I add a bit more. We are in about 3/4 of a cup. It doesn't matter for this sauce, for the lasagna, if it is not too floury, because lasagna is pasta and it's made with flour. Otherwise you eat flour and more flour and more flour. So I don't mind if this bechamel is a little bit on the runny side. So you cook it out somewhat like this, and you don't want to burn it, so stir all the time. Now you'd find that there will be people who turn off the flame, incorporate a little bit of milk there, whisk it, put the milk in and put it back on the flame until the bechamel is cooked. Well, I do it my own way, which is to make sure that everything is cooked to perfection. So this is a bit crazy, but I add a little bit of milk, and see how it disappears into the flour. It's a very powerful agent. Remember when we did the other sauce, the mayonnaise, how the eggs were incorporating the oil like as if there was no tomorrow? Well, flour absorbs an enormous amount of milk, and careful not to burn. It's quite extraordinary, so I'll turn it down a little bit. I'm going a bit too quick, and this will turn into a lump as it absorbs the milk, and then we break it down again and again and again until the whole thing dissolves into a very smooth sauce. Now I've made quite a bit of quantity for what we're doing today, because bechamel keeps rather well in the fridge and you can use it in other recipes. Look at that, I love that. I love the way it comes together. It's like a polenta. A bit more. Really, it might take 10 minutes to bring up to, but it's worth it, trust me. You see, it's got a really lovely gloss now. We're getting close to the end. You see how it's coming along. I'm going to throw in a couple of bay leaves, because bay leaves comes from a tree obviously, and it's very fragrant. It grows around here in many gardens, or you can buy it. It's not necessary, I just like it. And a pinch of salt, not too much. As I say always, every single time, salt is necessary, but you can add too much and then you say, oh wow, what have I done? You got to take it easy. See, we're approaching almost 2 liters of milk. I won't be using it all, I don't think, but see, now I can quite liberally add it in. And I like the sauce a little bit runny because I'm using homemade pasta, and that absorbs the bechamel, the liquid part of it, quite easily. You don't want a lasagna that stands up like, you know, like a soldier like that. You want it a little bit loose because it's soft and creamy and hot and great on a cold day. Now I'm sure that this is cooked and it doesn't taste of flour. The flour taste is gone. Now for the lasagna, but before we start, I remember the nutmeg. It's very, very aromatic. It's got a lovely fragrance, and it's absolutely delicious in this sauce. And you quite a generous amount in it. It's a marvelous spice. It comes from Asia, from Malaysia in particular. That's where I saw it, on the trees over there. And there it goes. Lovely aroma, lovely aroma. It really is critical in a good lasagna. Okay, let's push all this stuff aside and we can make ready for the lasagna, which I'm going to make a tray like this, which is quite generous. And I've got homemade pasta here. I'll show you next time how to make homemade pasta. I've gone in reverse. I'll show you the bolognese, then the lasagna, then how to make the pasta. I've made a mess, but bear with me. Next time I'll show you. But alternatively, you can buy lasagna sheets, commercial ones. They're quite good. You know, there's some brands that are very, very good. Okay, this is quite simple really, once you've got the good ingredients. Beautiful homemade bechamel, homemade bolognese sauce, I told you last week, Parmesan cheese. I also use a little bit of mozzarella, and the homemade pasta, which is essentially just flour and eggs. So let's throw up a couple of pieces in the boiling water, which is salted, of course, and you're not really cooking it because it'll cook there as it bakes. You're basically flushing out a little bit of the flour that you see attached to the dough, and it also makes it a bit more malleable. So basically I'll start with some bechamel on the bottom, because the bottom bears the brunt of the heat in the oven. A little bit of sauce. Notice that I've added a little bit of water to the bolognese to make it a little bit runny. There you go. Everything has to be salted right, otherwise you get a lasagna that doesn't taste very good. Or see, this is almost overcooked because I was spending time over there. Just want to be virtually in and out, and immediately I put it in a bath of water so that I can handle it, otherwise I get burnt. Okay, cold water, look at that. It's slippery, beautiful. You can see your fingers through it. You know, this is all goodness. Free range eggs, organic flour, you name it, we got it. And all you have to do is place it on the bottom of the tray. Parmesan cheese, I got almost every layer. I'll put my beloved Parmesan because it's flavor. Those little black specks, remember I put some little bit of pepper last time, so don't worry, there's nothing wrong with that. On this second layer I put a little bit of mozzarella, not too much. It just gives us some nice gooiness. And the cheese and the sauce, again and again and again. And this time I also add some bechamel. I don't want to add it on every layer, or otherwise it does get a little bit too runny. There we are. Look at that, look at that. You just dribble it over. It's so yummy. And now for the final layer, I do 5 in a tray like that. That's about average. Don't forget that it swells and puffs up. So 5 layers is quite a bit. And once again, a little bit of bolognese, a touch of the sauce. Here, there's some left. You can maybe use it after to top it off, but should be necessary. I don't like those lasagnas that are covered in bolognese. It's usually a trick to hide the mistakes. I cover it with foil and with some baking paper. Almost right, but if you want the baking paper to fit perfectly on anything, you go like this. You wet it, you just scrunch it up like that, and then you can do whatever you want with it. You can manipulate it, see? And there it fits. And the foil, a little bit loose because it will rise. And the reason why I put the baking paper is because tomato-based sauces, if they come into contact with the foil, you will see they make holes. There's something corrosive about tomato, and anyway, you don't want the foil to touch the food. Simple as that. So this is ready for the oven. 35 to 40 minutes, depends on whether you have, it depends on whether you have a domestic oven, a powerful oven, whatever. You can always pull the stuff, the covering off, and stick a knife in it or a fork and feel how hot it is. It has to be hot. Lasagna has to cook. Can't come out lukewarm. See you in a minute. Look at that. Beautiful, lovely lasagna. Look at that, nice and wobbly. Of course, it'll all sink a little bit. And it's delicious hot as it is now. That has sunk a bit, never mind. And this will be even better when it is reheated tomorrow. But for now, let's take a nice portion out of here. And this is the lasagna you serve with a big spoon like this. You make sure you ease it off the edges. And believe me, there's quite a bit of weight here. There. Look how it's beautifully layered. It's sensational. Of course, as if there wasn't enough cheese, the mandatory little sprinkle on top. And there it is. Homemade lasagna with your own bechamel and bolognese sauce. You can't go wrong. Give it a go.